So, lads, today we're going to be talking about what is the craziest MVP race in recent memory. And this, for me, is three players having arguably their best season ever. We have got Nikola Jokic, who is, I'm not joking when I say this, is having what I believe is one of the 5 greatest individual seasons of all time. We've got Shai, who is putting up scary numbers for a team that is 31-6. Yeah, they're 31-6. They're 9 games ahead of Denver. They are 31-6. They're ridiculously good. And he is looking like he's the most consistent scorer I've ever seen. I've never seen a more consistent scorer. Like, most guys average 30, they'll have some games of 45, other games of 20. I've never seen a more consistent scorer than Shai. And Giannis Antetokounmpo is he's arguably at his peak. And this is a 3-time MVP winner and 2-time MVP winner, both arguably having their best ever seasons. And then Shai is probably, as of right now, the favorite to win MVP. Before we get on to that, though, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We're at 8888 subscribers. If you guys could ruin that, that would be absolutely incredible. But as you guys can see, health-wise, I'm okay, and we're back flat out on this channel, uploading an average of about 5 videos a day. And that seems like it's going to be there for the remainder of the season for quite a while. In March, once I'm done with some other stuff, I'm going to start streaming 2 hours a day, recording all these videos, news videos on the stream, release them as videos. And then, yeah, that's the plan for a while. But Shai is now top in the MVP race. As of right now, Luka's officially out of it. I'll talk about that later. But Cade Cunningham is in the next 5 in the top 15. Domantas Sabonis, in fairness, he probably deserves to be there. Trae Young, J-Dub, fair enough. LeBron, I don't know if LeBron's in the next top 15 for MVP, but he'll be on an all-NBA team, so it is what it is. Şengün in 10th, AD in 9th, Luka in 8th, Mitchell in 7th, Cat in 6th. Darius Garland should be somewhere there. But Tatum is 5th, and fair enough. Tatum is the best player on a Celtics team who aren't as good as they were last year. We got to just admit that the Celtics are not as good as they were last year. And there's his team are the 2nd seed. They're 4 games off the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he hasn't been as good individually as Shai. He hasn't been as good individually as any of these players. And to be honest, they're only a couple of games ahead of the Knicks, so 5 is fine. Wembanyama, it's just, the problem with Wembanyama is there's a little bit of inconsistency. He's there at 4. Giannis kind of locked him down. He's had kind of bad games, but Wemby's going to be an MVP very soon. He's averaging 25, 11, and 4 blocks. It is absolutely nuts. It is absolutely nuts. But Giannis here at 3. Now, this is where it gets tough. Jokic averaging 31.5, 13, and 10. And it's up to 9.9 assists. He had 35. He had 35, 13, and 15 a couple of days ago. I think that's what his stat line was. And then there is the most consistent player we've seen in so long in Shai. Who's the MVP in my opinion? Jokic is having the best season. And the reality is that his team are 3 games off the 2nd seed? If he's a top 3 seed in the West, I don't know how you can't give Nikola Jokic an MVP. And the worst part is, I get it. There's a lot of people that are complaining, saying Luka Doncic should have won it last year. And I agree Luka should have won it last year. I'm not I knew it was going to, in hindsight, Luka not winning MVP last year wasn't going to be seen as good. I knew it was going to be. I was tweeting out Luka can't win it because it's a full season award. And looking at Luka's stats for the entire season, they were absurd. Luka Doncic. That's what I mean. There's no issues with Giannis wins because they're a 2nd seed. And they have the exact same record. If Luka doesn't win MVP, you may as well scrap the award and name media's going, but there's no way averaging. I was so much on the Luka Doncic hype train. But for that same reason, I don't think it's fair to screw over Jokic because Jokic screwed over someone last year. I don't think it's fair. And I don't think it was fair last year to screw over Luka because Embiid won it when Jokic should have won it the year before. Because they didn't want to give Jokic 3 in a row because Kendrick Perkins made it about race. I don't think it was fair. But at the same time, this could be one like last year where it's even though Luka should have been the MVP, no question about it, Luka should have been the MVP. Jokic was so good last year that you can at least see why it was Jokic. And I think it's going to be the same this year. And then there's the forgotten man, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis's last MVP, he is suffering from voter fatigue from an MVP he won 5 years ago. I've never seen that before. I've never seen a man suffer from voter fatigue from 5 seasons ago. Because this is the worst Milwaukee team he has played on since probably, 2018 maybe? 2018? Like, before that, maybe 2017? But at the same time, like, there are just 2 other ridiculous players. And by the way, if he wasn't out and mathematically impossible, I'm genuinely saying, like, Luka would be in this too. We are looking at the most talented era in NBA history, and people are just ignoring it. I'm sorry, these are 2 of the greatest players of all time, playing at the peak of their powers in Giannis and Jokic. 2 guys that I would put both at whatever you have KD. And yeah, I don't think they cracked the top 10. But like, if you want to talk rings, Hakeem won 2, and both of those rings were in years where Michael Jordan wasn't there. And Hakeem has 2 rings, fair enough. But like, Giannis has got 1, and what Giannis did in those finals was a joke. What Jokic did in those finals was a joke. I think both of these guys, these guys are at that Hakeem-ish level. I would put them ahead of Kevin Durant. If you're asking me who's better, KD, Jokic, or Giannis, I'd have KD as the 3rd best. These are 2 of the greatest players of all time. And then you've got a 26-year-old. Shai is 26. Let's not forget that. Like, he has another 10 years left in him. The guy is 26. And he has had... Let's look at his last couple of seasons. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has... Since he has gone to OKC... Since he's really emerged as a top-tier player, he is averaging... Why is it total? Give me points per game. There we go. In his last 3 seasons, 31.8 points per game. 31.8. And this year he's up to averaging 32.8 points per game. Like, it's just scary how consistent this man is. It is scary. I've never seen anything like it. And you know what? At this stage, in my opinion, Jokic is the MVP. But he's not going to be robbed. He's not going to rob anybody. If Shai wins MVP, Jokic wasn't robbed. If Giannis wins MVP, these guys weren't robbed. This is one of the tightest MVP races we have ever seen. And I don't think there's a point in going down to team record, because team record has a lot. You can say a lot about team record. Like, the Oklahoma City Thunder are a much better team than both of these. Like, they had the greatest rebuild of all time. They've had such a good rebuild that teams are laughing at rebuilds that take longer than 2 years. They had the literal greatest rebuild of all time. Their team is unbelievable. And they're great. They're really well coached. They work their ass off. They're like, swap any of these players with Shai and that team's still a top seed in the West. But still, like, man, Shai is fantastic. He is my prediction to win MVP. I think they're going to go off team record, because I think this team could win 68, 69 games. But if you're asking me right now who the MVP of the league is, it's Nikola Jokic. Like, the guy could very well average a 30-point triple-double. And it's like, the stuff he's doing is video game. He's putting up video game numbers every freaking game. And people become numb to it. That he had, like, what was it, 35, I think it was like 35, 12, and 15. And nobody cared. Whereas, heck, if LeBron in his prime did that, people wouldn't have shut up about it for weeks. He is doing so much that people are just... Shai is just the most consistent player I've seen. But, like, Jokic is so good that people have began to, like, expect it. That they no longer see it. It's like LeBron. When LeBron's doing stuff we've never seen from before. From people in their late 30s and now early 40s. That LeBron's still expected to win a championship at 40, and if he doesn't win a championship, it's his fault. Whereas it's never been a situation for anyone near his age before. But LeBron was so great for so long that's what people are comparing it to, and they're kind of setting an unrealistic standard. And that's the problem, is Jokic is being judged by an unrealistic standard. But this is the best Jokic has ever played. His team, it's one of the worst teams he's been on in a long time. It's the best he's ever played. And if Jamal Murray can get healthy and even back to himself, I mean that. It could be really, really, genuinely could be a really, really good race. And to be fair, the Nuggets are still contenders, I think. But anyway, yeah, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.